Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man Jay Rich. Count that money, man. Now wipe the crust out of your eyes. Get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. It is Tuesday, April 26, 2022. Y'all know what it is, baby. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with Ray G. I appreciate you being here. Hit the like button, subscribe, thumbs up, comment for the algorithm, all that dope stuff. Shout out to our partners, Prize Picks, getting it in as the Nets getting it out. Got that broom put on them by Boston last night. KD gone. Nets swept. Jordan's Toronto Raptors lived to see another day. And the Utah Jazz got beat down by the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic, best player in the NBA, Jay. Best player in the NBA. Not the MVP, best player in the NBA, Luka Doncic. Eli Mitchell, hurt. As always, I found you the Eli Mitchell last year. I hope you don't have him on your rosters this year. I don't know what's going on. Debo Samuel is still trending across the airwaves. Now Trayvon Walker's favored to be the number one overall pick. It's going to be the most unpredictable NFL draft that we've seen in years, and I am so excited for it. Make sure you tap into the draft party. I'll be streaming the first round live. Just talking reactions, what do we think about these team fits? Not just fantasy shit, man. Everything, Offensive lineman goes to the Giants. That helps out Saquon Barkley, helps out the offense. Whoop-de-whoop. We're going to talk about all that stuff. So make sure you tap in on the YouTube channel. Think we'll go live about 15 minutes before the draft starts. It starts at, I think, 7 o'clock my time here in Texas, Central Time. So we'll go live about 15 minutes before that. BS in the chat. I might give some stuff away. I got jerseys and all kinds of crazy stuff to give away. So make sure you're tapped in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Follow the Twitter Wake Up account because that's how I'll be able to communicate during the giveaways. It'll be dope. It'll be dope. But we have to look at our final pre-draft Superflex rookie mock. And I'm telling y'all, based on Chad Reuter's mock that we talked about yesterday, by far, I think our best mock draft that we've done. It was difficult. We had a lot of conversations about it inside our Discord. If you want to be a part of the community, patreon.com/allgas to support the creators over there. But I think it was the best rookie Superflex mock that we've done yet. Some real tough decisions based on some of those landing spots. What do you do with Isaiah Spiller if he gets drafted day 2 draft capital by the Chiefs? What do you do with some of these wide receivers that land in landing spots with Patrick Mahomes, with Aaron Rodgers, with Justin Herbert? How do we react to the quarterbacks if they are drafted round 1? What have I been preaching since February? The more times you do this using different mocks and different landing spots, the better prepared you're going to be when you enter your rookie draft. So we ain't going to beat around the bush. We're going to get right to it. Jay, how you doing this morning, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Like you said, the Raps, they didn't just live to see another day. They are thriving. And tell me something, KD. Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks?
Oh, you've been in love with that. You've been in love with that.
That's my favorite video of all time. For anyone who's never seen that video, I will put the link in the description probably a little bit after the show. Best video I've ever seen by far. Hilarious seeing Knicks fans just go off on Brooklyn yesterday. But the mock, though. The mock's a good one. I wasn't in the mock. I let you guys do it. The funny part was people asking us, who should I pick? Who should I pick? And you're like, nah, you got to make your pick.
Don't ask.
If you flame me for it, you get flamed.
Yep.
But we'll talk about it. We had a lot of really discussions about the mock. So we'll bring those discussions here. And I'm excited to do that today, man. It's been a good day.
In. Good morning from Finland. I'm seeing Marlins in the building. Dynasty Barry here as always. Good morning to you, my friend. Patrick Price in the building, Rojo Fish, Mike Anderson, what's up, Mike? Josh always in the building, Shane Joe, Victor in the building. Where's James at? James, Algorithm, yes sir. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Joe. How you doing, my girl, all the way from Cali? She's always in the building. Hello. She said hey to you too, Jay. What's up, Brandon? Matt Bruning. Matt Bruning's going to be on the stream with us. So I've got people coming in and out of the draft stream. Bruning's going to be there. Jordan Backus, Director of Analytics over here, he's going to be there to talk about the impact from a number standpoint. A lot of people in the building, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to get into this mock. So let's talk about it real quick. Let's do a quick reminder of some of the players that went in round one. So in this mock, Chad Reuter, we'll link it again in the description of this video just for reference point. But Kenny Pickett went 2 overall to Detroit. Malik Willis, 8 to Atlanta. Garrett Wilson to the Jets. Matt Corral to Pittsburgh. Desmond Ridder, New Orleans. Drake London to the Chargers. Jamison Williams to Philly. Chris Olave to Green Bay. George Pickens to KC. Trey McBride to Tennessee. And Sam Howell to Seattle in round one. Let's talk about it. Superflex 101 was still Breece Hall. Breece Hall went 101. Malik Willis went 102. So the 8th pick in the draft to the Atlanta Falcons goes 102. No Kenneth Walker, no wide receiver. Malik Willis still solidified as 102. Matt Corral, the big surprise. We've been seeing Matt Corral go 7, 8, 9 in the mocks. Matt Corral, 12 overall. Pittsburgh trades up. Takes Matt Corral. He becomes the 103 in Superflex. Tough decisions. 104. I thought this is where we might see a running back. Maybe Kenneth Walker in this mock. Kenneth Walker went to Arizona in round 2, middle of round 2. 104 was Drake London. He went 17 overall to the Chargers. And 105 was Kenneth Walker to Arizona. We talked about this one. I don't like the landing spot for any of the running backs in Arizona. Not immediately, right? Maybe down the road, that's okay. We talked about it. We're not going to dive too much into that. I'm not the biggest Arizona Cardinals fan for one of these top running backs, especially with them just giving James Conner that deal. But Kenneth Walker comes off the board at 105. And then Kenny Pickett, the number 2 overall pick per this mock to Detroit, goes 106. Jay, top 6 picks. What were your thoughts on those guys? Anyone that you were a little surprised didn't go? Is this about what you expected? What are your thoughts here?
I thought it was fine, right? I think that Corral should be going this high. I think that's the pick that everyone's kind of like, oh, that's surprising. But for me, Pittsburgh's the only landing spot that can really take him up to that higher threshold. If you want to take him at 1, like I know that you would, I'm fine with that. You know, Malik in Atlanta is an okay spot, not the best spot. Pittsburgh, the superior spot for just about any quarterback across the board. Pickett at 106, I think is fine. I think I would consider him over Walker. Well, because like you said, James Conner locked in for 2 years. He has a 10 mil dead cap hit next season. So even beyond this season, he's got a dead cap hit of over 10 million. So he's not going anywhere. And again, the bigger issue with this team is that Arizona doesn't throw a ton or doesn't run the ball a ton. We were looking at their rushing attempts. James Conner had 200 rush attempts. Chase Edmonds had 113. So if you're a backup running back, you have to catch passes. They threw 80 there was 80 receptions to the running backs in Arizona last year. So it's a big difference when you think about if Kenneth Walker can't catch passes like we don't really expect him to, that could be a problem in a place like Arizona where a lot of the fantasy points do come through the air. But yes, James Conner did have 15 touchdowns. You would be hoping that somehow Kenneth Walker took over that role. And then you talk about Drake London, right? Drake London as the wide receiver 1 off the board, going to the Chargers, for people who don't remember. The landing spot is interesting because it's a crowded wide receiver room, right? You have Keenan Allen, you have Mike Williams, but yes, you do have Justin Herbert, and ultimately that's the reason why he's going so high in these drafts. So I'm okay with it. I like the spot for Garrett Wilson as well, but overall, when you really think about it, Breece Hall 101, Malik Willis 102, Matt Corral 103, I think is a great start. And then you can have a debate about whether you take Drake London, Kenneth Walker, Kenny Pickett next. For me, I think it's fine. I think the order is good. I think that our drafters did a good job. But the most contentious point amongst the group was Kenneth Walker because at the end of the day, he's a primary running back right now, and we don't know if he can catch passes. If he can, he would be great in Arizona. But if he can't, he's basically just a satellite back when they choose to use him because I don't think he's going to take away the role from James Conner. And even if he does, we're talking about a back who really is looking at maybe 225 carries. And for me, that's a bit of a problem because people are saying, well, what about Javonte Williams? He had 200 carries, but there was also 250 on Melvin Gordon's end. So when he takes over the role this year, he should be looking at 265 to 275, maybe even higher than that on top of having a pass catching role. So that's where I'm kind of iffy overall on Kenneth Walker. And so let's keep it moving, Ray. Let's go to 107, who was Garrett Wilson.
Well, one second. You just wait a minute. You just talked for 8 minutes. Hold on. Wait a minute. Golly. Slow it down. Pick it up and slow it down. I mean, good Lord. Here's the thing. We looked at the Arizona situation. I think they were 10th in the league in rush attempts. James Conner just had over a little north of 200 carries. Chase Edmonds had 116 carries, I believe, and then Kyler Murray with 88. I mean, what's his opportunity share going to look like? What is any rookie running back's opportunity share going to look like early on in Arizona? Everybody, I don't dynasty with injury concerns. If they're healthy going into the season, that's how I'm rolling with it. Like, I mean, you just gotta. I don't know, man. And somebody Josh asked a great question. Is Kenneth Walker as good as Nick Chubb? I think that's what you're banking on. Just because he didn't catch passes in college doesn't mean he can't do it in the league. But we have not seen any evidence of him being able to do it. And spare me the argument that I saw him catch the ball well at the fucking combine. Like, stop. Like, cut it out, man. Nobody's out there just dropping flare routes at the combine. They're running 2-yard out routes at the combine and then downfield uncontested catches. I want to see them doing in the game. Stop with this. I saw him do it at the combine so he can do it in the NFL. The weakest argument one can make. Like, I could go out there right now and catch 10 out of 10 just in the backyard. So I like Kenneth Walker. I think it was a fine spot for him. Garrett Wilson went off the board at 107. Isaiah Spiller, 108. And for those of y'all who weren't here or forgot, Isaiah Spiller came off the board in the 3rd round to Kansas City. Desmond Ridder was a 1st-round pick of the Saints. He gets drafted at 109. George Pickens, 1st-round pick of the Kansas City Chiefs, comes off the board at 110. J-Mo went 15th overall to the Eagles. He goes off the board at 111. And Treylon Burks just snuck into the 1st round, going to Chicago at the top of the 2nd. So I'm going to show you the board, what it looked like. There it is. Breece Hall, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, Drake London, Kenneth Walker, Kenny Pickett, Garrett Wilson, Isaiah Spiller, Desmond Ridder, George Pickens, Jamison Williams, and Treylon Burks. Jay, what do you think about the 1st round of this mock?
I think Jamison Williams is way too low. I just think he's way too low. I understand that Philly's not the best landing spot, but I mean, I guess, Ray, the question for me is, and I think maybe you can sway me, but who is your alpha in Philly if you have Devontae Smith and Jamison Williams? Because I feel like they'd have to operate as co-alphas. I don't think one would have a larger target share than the other. And where I'm fearful, right, is you have Devontae Smith, who I believe wasn't he top 6 in air yards in the NFL this year?
He was up there.
And more so in unrealized air yards was the bigger issue because Jalen Hurts couldn't get him the ball deep. And then you have the same situation with Jamison Williams. Yes, he can do more than just be a deep threat, but if that's how he's going to be utilized in the offense, that's where you're going to run into issues, right? So for me, I don't hate taking him at 111, but I don't think I could take him. But I don't think I could take George Pickens over him. As good as George Pickens could be, I don't think I could take George Pickens over Jamison Williams because I believe that Jamison Williams is just a superior talent. Treylon Burks at 112, I'm not shocked, but maybe people are finally just, I don't know about Treylon Burks. But Ray, at what point is he a value for you? Because, he's been in your top tier. He's staying in your top tier. Even if he's in the 2nd round, still in your top tier. Would you still draft him based off of tiers, or would you consider taking George Pickens over him, who is in your tier 2?
No. I'd take Treylon Burks over George Pickens. Listen, I'm not this is prime character concern season, man. Like, we're seeing stuff come out. I read a report, Matt Corral, some anonymous exec, cowards. If you're gonna say shit, put your name to it, right? Anonymous execs. He's a party kid. He likes to party. He likes to have fun. It's something that millions of dollars aren't going to fix. I don't know about Matt Corral's want to. Man, stop the bullshit. What 18, 19-year-old doesn't like to party? And now, for those of you who don't know, Matt Corral beat the shit out of Wayne Gretzky's son in high school and had to transfer. So now all of that's surfacing, right? He's a bad apple. Like, he likes to party. Who didn't like to party? White, black, I don't care who you are. Whether you went to the club or you went to a kegger, everybody's partying in college and having fun in high school. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop with this, man, because you like to go out and have fun. You don't love the game. You got work ethic stuff, man. Say that bullshit for somebody else. Like, I'm not with that. But I say all that to say, the George Pickens rumors are a little concerning for me.
More striking, for sure.
Because these concerns about Pickens have been there long before the combine, long before smoke season, right? I don't know, man. I'm not taking him over Treylon, man. I'm not taking him over Treylon Burks. Jameson Williams, Devonta Smith. I still think Devonta Smith would be the one. I think it's a great fit for Jameson Williams to be able to take the top off the defense, provide an element of speed to that team, game-changing speed. And I think it would actually clear stuff up for Dallas Goedert and Devonta Smith underneath. So, Jay, go ahead and get us to round 2. Give us the first 6 picks in round 2, man.
So we have the 201 was Sam Howell to Seattle. 202 was Chris Olave to the Green Bay Packers. 203 was Buffalo, who took James Cook. 204 was Sky Moore to Atlanta, a spot I loved. 205 was Jahan Dotson, who went to Washington. And 206 was your boy, Christian Watson, to your Dallas Cowboys. Now, for me, I think it's surprising a little bit to see Chris Olave drop. Chris Olave, first-round pick, Green Bay Packers, probably the best fit for Aaron Rodgers overall. And then you have Sam Howell going to Seattle, jumping up to 201, immediate impact guy who could compete at quarterback. James Cook to Buffalo, though. I feel like people are just overdoing it with James Cook here. Yes, he could be a pass-catching back. Yes, people think he has the potential to have a role in the NFL. I don't really see him as much more than a satellite back. And if he goes to a place like Buffalo, I still don't believe he has more than maybe a 5 or 6 touchdown ceiling. Because at the end of the day, we have to remember that Josh Allen is good for 6 to 10 touchdowns every year on the ground. And as much as they say that they don't want him to run anymore, when it comes down to it, if he needs to make a play, he's going to do that. Sky Moore to Atlanta, I love. He's paired with Malik Willis in this mock. So those two guys coming in together, Kyle Pitts, I think it's a great fit. Jahan Dotson in Washington is interesting too, because if there's one player I think that I would want Jahan Dotson to learn from, it would be Terry McLaurin, right? I think their games are very, very similar in that respect. Like, they're both excellent route runners. Terry McLaurin a lot faster than we thought he would be. And Jahan Dotson was kind of a lot faster than I thought he would be as well. So I think learning from a player like Terry McLaurin, established veteran, been in the league a long time, that's a spot I really like. Ray, where are you at? Because I don't even want to talk about Christian Watson because we talked about him a bit yesterday. But where are you at with Christian Watson at 206, especially behind James Cook, in my opinion's kind of crazy, and then the rest of the first round overall?
Second round. But I think, I'll tell you this. I think Atlanta, if they walk away in the first 2 rounds with Malik Willis and Sky Moore, I'd be pretty happy as a Falcons fan. I love that pick. In the second round, 204 to get Sky Moore. Love it. Jahan Dotson, I think that was a great pick at 205 to Washington to play number 2 to Terry McLaurin. They need somebody else. I like that, whether it's with Carson Wentz or somebody else. Sam Howell, 2-1 to Seattle is interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, it's a quarterback in Superflex. Yeah. That's what I mean. First round pick. In a spot where, none of us believe in Drew Lock. Seattle just seems like them. Did you see the video of Matt Rule and their draft board yesterday? Did you see the video? So they showed the war room last year, and they were mocking like the first 7 picks or whatever before they went, and they were like, yeah, Trevor Lawrence is going to go 1 and Zach Wilson's going to go 2. And then when they got to 3 for San Francisco, the first name that they said, which I will go to my grave believing San Francisco, Mac Jones was the pick until public pressure came in. I don't care what anybody says. Seeing how Kyle Shanahan worked that situation this year, I wholeheartedly believe Mac Jones is who Kyle Shanahan wanted, and John Lynch said no. But Matt Rule even said, we think San Francisco is going to go Mac Jones or Trey Lance. Yeah. That's what he said, Mac Jones or Trey Lance. And then they go down the list of everybody. They said, Chase to Cincinnati. They said the Dolphins were going to take a Alabama wide receiver. So when they got up to the board, they were looking at the players. Everybody's like, why didn't Carolina take Justin Fields or Mac Jones? Well, they didn't think Mac Jones would be there. They didn't even have Justin Fields on their radar at all. Like, they were like, they said, we're either going to, their first 3 picks were Devontae Smith, J.C. Horn, Penei Sewell, and that was it. And then the guys were like, is there anybody else we even want to consider here at the 108? And they said Patrick Surtain. And he was like, nope, nobody else. No Fields, no nothing like that. So interesting there. I don't know how I got there. But Seattle and Carolina just seem like dumpster fire spots for quarterbacks, man. I'm real concerned. Olave at 2-2, what a steal. You get Aaron Rodgers' first wide receiver drafted in decades.
Ever.
Ever. So you get Chris Olave there. I like it. And then Christian Watson to Dallas, I think it's great, man. It's a situation where he doesn't have to come in right away and be thrust in immediate target volume role. He can learn from Washington, learn from CeeDee Lamb, have a good quarterback in Dak Prescott. I would actually, if Dallas did make this pick for real, I would love it. I think it's a position of need. I don't want them to spend a first-round pick on a wide receiver. So if we can get Christian Watson here in the second, then I love it. And to get him at 206 in the rookie mock, I think is fantastic as well. The rest of the mock played out, the rest of the second round played out like this. 207, Brian Robinson came off of the board. And B-Rob, what was he in this mock? Was he a fourth, fifth round pick? Where did Brian Robinson come off the board in this mock? Third round pick. Okay, B-Rob came off the board at 207. Zamir White at 208 to the Giants. The Lions wide receiver John Mechie at 209. Tennessee's tight end, who was drafted in round 1, Trey McBride, comes off the board at 210. Rashad White, 211. He plays for the Saints per this mock. And Ty Chandler, I selected Ty Chandler at the 212 spot. He was the Denver Broncos' third round pick. I got him at 212. Yeah, man, this is what I've been saying about the 2022 rookie class the entire time. After about 206, I like the players. After about 206, 207, I like them. I wouldn't mind having them on my roster, but I'm cool trading out. Like, my breaking point per this mock would be about Brian Robinson, Zamir White. So that's like 208. And I'm fine not having either of those guys. Like, Christian Watson would be my last kind of must-have guy from this class. After that 206 spot, if anybody offered me a future first rounder, even 2024 first rounder for my 207, 208, 209, I'm making that trade 10 out of 10 times and letting them select Rashad White, Ty Chandler, John Mechie. But that's just me, Jay. How do you feel?
I'm with you, man. Honestly, like I was, it's funny you led into that because that's what I was going to ask you. Like, where are you at with this mock? And I think for me, it's about 205. Because like you said, like if I didn't get James Cook, I wouldn't be that upset. If I didn't get Brian Robinson, I wouldn't be that upset. But I think, Sam Howell, Sky Moore, Jahan Dodson, Christian Watson, Chris Olave are all great picks to have in the second round. And then obviously the first round picks, if they fall, are all still great options as well.
Let me tell you something, James. I don't know how long you've been dynastying for. A lot of people. A lot of people. I've seen people trade when you're on the clock and the draft has happened and your favorite team drafts your favorite sleeper and they're sitting there at the 208, 209. Again, don't know how many dynasty leagues you're in. I've played in at one single time over 30 in a season. This happens a lot more often than you think. So you're asking who's trading the first for the 208? Plenty of people. Because when you're on the clock and your favorite running back, Rashad White, goes to New Orleans and you think there's going to be a great opportunity there, who the hell is thinking about 2024? I can ask everybody in this chat, name 12 players in 2024, and I'm pretty sure there's only a couple of people who can do that. Tons of people would trade a first-round pick for the 208. Happens every single year. Every single year. How long is y'all's drafts clock? Most of the times they're slow drafts, so 4 hours. I like to speed shit up.
A lot of time zones, 4 hours.
A lot of time zones. Exactly. All right, Jay, you want to get us into round 3?
Yeah, so round 3 kicks off with your boy, USC and Texas, Keontae Ingram, who went to the Jets. 302 was Justin Ross, who went to Pittsburgh to replace Juju Smith-Schuster. 303, Carson Strong, who went to back up Matt Ryan in Indianapolis. 304 was Pierre Strong to my New England Patriots. 305 was Bam Knight to the Chargers, which is a really good spot. 306, Dameon Pierce to Seattle. 307, Kyron Williams, who went to Indianapolis. 308, Alec Pierce or Antoine Pierce, depending on how much you watch this show, to Arizona. 309 was Wan'Dale Robinson to the Giants. 310 was Isaiah Likely to Jacksonville. 311, Jalen Tolbert to Indianapolis as well. And to round out the third round was Khalil Shakur, who went 312 and went to Atlanta. So for me, I think if I'm looking at one spot I do like Carson Strong at the top of the third. It's one of the strategies that we've talked about a lot, and this is how you get a Davis Mills, right? This is ultimately how this happens, and it's not quite the same situation because they did have the Deshaun Watson issues and all these various things. And while I don't love the draft slot. I think anywhere around that mid-third spot for Carson Strong, if he is drafted in the same type of spot, early third round, to a team that maybe could develop him, I think it's a fine draft slot, right? He's basically drafted exactly where he was taken in the NFL draft. I think that's always a good bet to make. I love Pierre Strong on the Patriots. I think he's a great fit for that offense.
Really?
I think if they could find a way to get rid of Damian Harris, he's a great fit.
Why do you want to bury Damian Harris? So what is up with you, man?
He's only got 1 year left on his contract, right?
Yeah.
So do we need him on the roster? No. Should we look for a replacement because we're not re-signing him? Absolutely. And then Alec Pierce to Arizona. I think he's a great fit. They run a lot of deep seam routes. I think he could be a compliment outside. They did lose AJ Green, right? So they do need to find a way to fill that role. And Alec Pierce, I think, could do that very, very well. Kyler Murray probably not going to be traded. We saw Steve Klein said he's not trading him no matter what. We'll see about that. I'm sure if Dallas really wanted him, they could have him. But those are kind of the 3 picks I really liked. Kyron Williams, even in the 3rd round, I'm like, ugh. He was a 6th round pick in this mock. So I'm not really, or 5th round pick, sorry.
They actually re-signed, they actually brought back AJ Green. So AJ Green came back on a 1 year deal. Yeah. He signed a 1 year deal.
Oh,
so no. I want to talk about my pick. And I think the first 5 picks of this, man, I actually like the first, like you're talking about sleepers. If you have these picks, I mean, Keontae Ingram, I took him at 301. Per Chad Reuter's mock, he was drafted at the top of the 4th round by the Jets. Michael Carter isn't some locked and loaded workhorse type running back. They tried to bring in James Conner, was very close to signing James Conner, luring him away from Arizona in free agency. If Keontae Ingram gets 4th round draft capital, I mean, that's your ideal running back target, right? Sleeper type target. I'll say this about Keontae Ingram. It's not his fault that one of the best running back prospects in the University of Texas's history just decided to commit to Texas, right? Like, it's not his fault, man. It's not. And Keontae Ingram going into the 2019 season was viewed as a high-end prospect. Then he drops the damn ball versus Texas. If he would have caught that touchdown pass versus LSU, it would have changed the course of that season, man. Like, it just went downhill after that happened. Yes, and Marcus... Shout out to Marcus Myers in the building, national champ 05 UT. That's my boy. That LSU drop will forever make me stay away from Ingram. I can't stay away from him. I still 4th round, top of the 4th round. I like Keontae. Justin Ross went in the 3rd round of Chad Reuter's mock. This just seems like a Pittsburgh Steelers type pick. Justin Ross paired with Matt Corral, Deontay Johnson. I like it. I'm with you with Carson Strong here at the top of the 3rd. Pierre Strong. Bam Knight went in the 4th round to, did he go in the 4th round or the 3rd round? Where did Bam Knight go? Bam Knight was he was a Jacksonville. I think he'd be Jacksonville's backup running back, and I think he'd get some opportunity. Damian Pierce to Seattle, pretty good. No health concerns with Chris Carson and Rashad Penny. I like Damian Pierce. And then Indianapolis took Kyron Williams in this mock. I don't know, man. Behind Jonathan Taylor, behind Nyheim Hines, after Wandell and the Giants, I don't know, man. He's just a little guy. I like Jalen Tolbert to Indianapolis at 311, and I thought Khalil Shakir to Atlanta. Where did he get drafted by Atlanta? In the 4th round, man. Atlanta just tooling up for Malik Willis, right? So it sounds like they're preparing for life after Calvin Ridley with Sky Moore, with Khalil Shakir, with Kyle Pitts, with Malik Willis. Atlanta killing it, man. Atlanta having an awesome mock draft per Chad Reuter. So I'll round us out the 4th round of this Superflex mock. The Giants new tight end Charlie Kolar came off the board at 401. Greg Dulcich comes off the board at 402. David Bell, Baltimore's new wide receiver, comes off the board at 4-3. Jerome Ford, who was drafted by the Washington football team. They're the Commanders now, excuse me. I see a lot of Antonio Gibson talk in here. So there goes their running back, a 6th round running back. And I do think Washington will draft a running back. I don't believe it's going to be any significant draft capital. I think they're going to take one day 3, you can never have too many of those guys to back up your starter. Antonio Gibson's the starter. Stop it. Tyler Goodson, Baltimore's new running back, went 405. Kennedy Brooks to the Chargers went 406. Calvin Austin, 407 to Houston. Romeo Doubs, 408 to Minnesota. Jelani Woods, everyone's favorite sleeper tight end, he was also drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, goes off the board at 409. Tyler Beatty, 410. Kevin Harris, 411. And Hassan Haskins, who was Haskins even drafted? Probably a UDFA. I drafted Hassan Haskins just because he's a running back, and I'm taking dart throws in the 4th round on running back. So I don't even think I showed, Jay, the draft board for the 2nd round. Do you want me to pull that up real quick, or does everybody have a good idea of what the hell happened? I didn't even show it.
You can show it if you want. We talked through it.
We talked through it, but I'll show it, though, for the people on here so they can see. Go ahead and tell us what you think about that 4th round.
Best pick for me has to be Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin was a 3rd round pick in this mock draft, and he was drafted in the 4th round of rookie drafts. He went to Houston, who has 1 wide receiver. I think this is a great draft slot for Calvin Austin. He's a guy who could have opportunity, build a rapport with Davis Mills. I mean, I don't know. People don't like Calvin Austin, but the reality is he's going to be a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Like, it's going to happen. So yeah, I don't think we should be fading him all the way to the 4th round, but I do agree there are guys with maybe some higher upside. And I get that, we've obviously preached taking running backs over wide receivers, but if Calvin Austin's there in the 4th round, you should probably be looking at him. I also don't mind Greg Dulcich, who went to Denver. I believe he's a 2nd round pick in this mock draft. So you're taking a 2nd round tight end in the 4th round of your rookie drafts. Pretty high pick, going to be behind Alberto for sure. But we know that there's going to be some 2 tight end sets there in Denver, and Russ will throw to whoever's open. So if Dulcich is the better tight end, he'll get the ball. So I like that pick as well. And then obviously Kevin Harris, UDFA in this mock, but I think he can find a home and have a role in the NFL. We just don't know where it's going to be. And he may not get drafted, which sucks. But at the end of the day, we're betting on talent at this point in the 4th round and even in 5th rounds if you have 5th rounds of rookie drafts. So for me, those are kind of the picks that stuck out to me. And maybe even some Romeo Doubs if I'm feeling frisky. But I like myself some Amir Smith-Marset on the outside as well.
Yeah, and I did not show the 3rd round. I think there was some. I think the sleepers were in the 3rd round. Everyone's looking for those sleeper picks. I think the sleepers were in the 3rd round with Ingram, Ross, both of the Strongs, Zonovan Bam Knight, Damian Pierce, Alec Pierce. A lot of y'all keep asking where Alec Pierce went. He was drafted 308 in the Superflex mock by Errors. 308, he's the Arizona Cardinals wide receiver, and he was drafted in the 3rd round of Chad Reuter's mock. So day 2 draft capital. I like the first 6 picks in this 3rd round, man. I really do. Ingram, Ross, Strong, Knight, Pierce, Kyron. We'll see. Matt Bruning said people don't like Calvin Austin. Why not? Because he's little. That's it. I think he's a fantastic player as well. I think he's a fantastic player. But just that archetype of wide receiver is very difficult to find sustained fantasy success, man. Those are just the facts. When you've got wide receivers sub 5'10", 5'9", 5'8", Calvin Austin is 5'7", 170 pounds.
Yep.
It's just, I'm out. There was one wide receiver that was supposed to break that mold. And it was Rondale Moore. And I think people, it's not about him not being able to play football. It's about being able to score fantasy points, man. It's not hate. It's not hate. It's fucking reality. You're a 5'7" wide receiver. If you tell me right now, Calvin Austin is going to go out there and command 115, 100 targets a year, then we can have a conversation. If you're he's going to get his 72 targets, 21 rush attempts, and return some punts and kicks, what good does that do? The roster spot is worth more than that. Now, I'm not saying Calvin Austin can't play. I saw him up close and personal at the Senior Bowl. I'm like, man, he's dusting these cats off the line of scrimmage. But to rely on that, especially when most of y'all playing start your lineup leagues where you have to set players, I'm not setting Calvin Austin in a wide receiver slot unless it is do or die desperation mode. Just that archetype of wide
it's just it's
tough, man. I love him too. I'm not a big guy. I played football, but I wouldn't draft myself in fantasy. Like I'm not gonna go out there and command.
At home, right?
That's why I'm sitting at home doing a draft party on Thursday night. But I mean, there's just very few wide receivers that size historically that have hit. Man, it's just very, very, very few. So it has no. I would love for Dallas to draft him and be on my football team, but man, I'm not. So charity bet that he can be a wide receiver 3 in fantasy. Who cares about a wide receiver 3 though? Like that. My question is this: who cares? What is a wide receiver 3 in fantasy? Like there's a bunch of them.
Wide receiver 3 is usable. It's not terrible. They're usable.
He's not.
Again,
I will charity bet. I will charity get Bruning. Send Bruning a link to this to bring his ass on here right now. Get his ass on the stream. He is not going to be a top 36 wide receiver. That's not happening. That's not. If you're asking me at any one point in his career, over under 1.5 seasons of Calvin Austin as wide receiver 36 or better. 1.5 over under 1.5. Give me 1.5. 1.5 fantasy seasons is 36. Top 36 wide receiver.
I gotta go under. But I mean, my point was more so if he goes to a situation that seems open where there could be opportunity, maybe he could be something to where you could flip him for a second round pick or maybe even
Bruning said over. He wants to bet. Lock it in, Bruning. Lock it in.
Man, Bruning, you need a landing spot, my G. You can't. What if you go somewhere that has good wide receivers? This is
draft. This is what I love. Bruning sticking to his guns, not backing down from me, saying I'll take the over 1.5 seasons of Calvin Austin, wide receiver 36 and above in fantasy. We'll do something. We'll do like a cross wake up / campus to Canton bet. We'll do some fun stuff if that happens, man. So there it is. We got a super chat question from Josh. David Bell, the people want to know what happened.
He can't do much of anything. In actually that athletic report, people who didn't read this was circulating all yesterday. It was an athletic draft confessional. It was coaches and scouts and guys talking about these players. And one of the most striking things that was said about any receiver was about David Bell. And what he said basically about David Bell was that he doesn't have a second gear. He plays at one speed and that is it. And that's all David Bell can do. Yes, he can make plays, but he can't separate and only can play at one speed, doesn't have a second gear. And that's very important. Ray, we talk about a lot with route running. You can't just run one speed. The NFL is about space, pace, and acceleration and timing. You can't just run one speed and expect to get open. You have to be able to vary your pace. And with his acceleration, as bad as it's looking right now, he probably is not going to be great in the NFL. And that's why he got drafted 403 in this mock draft and why he's not going to go very high in the NFL draft. But in Baltimore, just write him off. He's not going to do much.
I still like David Bell. He's still inside my tier 2 of wide receivers until the draft capital comes.
For now,
I expect him to go on day 3. And if that happens, it's going to boot him out of tier 2. It's weird because he is a good to Bruning's point, he's a good football player, man. I think he's a good wide receiver, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess it was the athleticism was so bad that they were just like, that's just not going to work.
It's Kyron, right? He's just Kyron a wide receiver.
Sucks.
It was too bad to make up for what he does on the field.
Yeah, man. We've seen. I mean, it reminds me. He reminds me of Tyler Johnson of a couple of years ago, where everybody was all over the analytical profile of Tyler Johnson and how good he was and the market share numbers and the dominator rating. And then we get to the draft process and Tyler Johnson was a 5th round pick because he wasn't 5th or 6th. I think he was a 5th rounder, but wasn't very explosive, just fell. And you see him having issues in the NFL. It's one of those guys. I don't think he's going to get day 2 draft capital.
There's
I just
no
don't.
Way.
I just
the only
don't.
team that would do that
hope
is the Bears.
So. I hope he does. I really do because I think he can play. You turn on the tape, he wins. I get that he plays with one speed, but he's incredible. The ball skills are there. Body control is there. I think he's a How many times have I cursed this morning? I know I said the F word at least twice.
I don't know.
I gotta put some money in the jar. I gotta find a jar.
You gotta remind us, chat. You gotta remind us.
Yeah, I think I'm up to 6 today. I think I'm up to $6 in the jar. But I like David Bell. But if he doesn't get drafted until day 3, the hit rate and the chances of that breakout is just, Tylan Wallace and Tyler Johnson. They're both rough, man. Both rough. All right, got one from Rico Stone. Oh, yeah, Darren Waller. So that's the mock. We won't do any more of these shits before. Damn it, two curse words. We won't do any more of these before the draft, but we will do one after the draft. Darren Waller. Apparently, the Packers tried to trade for him, but there's a rule in the NFL that you can't trade a tag player before. I don't know what it was. I saw it yesterday. Really? But yeah. They were talking about why he couldn't be included in that deal for Devontae Adams. If Waller is traded to the Packers, how would the value of Carr and Rodgers change for you? Great question. What do you think?
0. It would mean it's good for Rodgers. It doesn't do anything for Derek Carr, in my opinion, though. Darren Waller barely even played last season, so why would it affect the value of Derek Carr? You take what Derek Carr did last season. I believe he was top 5 in passing yards, and Darren Waller played, I think, 11 games, but he really only produced in like 8 of them. And he got Devontae Adams, so he's going to be just fine. We've seen Devontae Adams can make really good quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks, and, Derek Carr would be a really good quarterback. But for Aaron Rodgers, I don't really know. Like, it would be great for him to have Darren Waller, and it would be another piece to the puzzle. But at the same time, I think Robert Tonyan's pretty good. So if Robert Tonyan comes back, do they need Darren Waller? Does he like Darren Waller? Is the chemistry there? Is the timing there over a guy like Tonyan? I don't know. I mean, obviously Darren Waller is a great tight end, so he would make the offense better. He'd make Rodgers better. I don't know if it would boost Rodgers that much more in my rankings, though. He's not replacing Devontae Adams, right? That's just the truth. So
I think it'd
marginally better, but not crazy.
It'd be fantastic for Aaron Rodgers and Darren Waller. I think that would be a huge upgrade. It would boost up Hunter Renfrow again as the slot. I think it would clear things up. Adams is on his way to his 170 targets. I think it's a good trade. I wonder, have we just seeing teams do it? I already made one trade with you, and then it's like dynasty. I already traded with you once, and now I'm going back and trading with him again. It just seems a little weird.
Maybe it was a handshake agreement, right?
Maybe.
I mean, maybe. Who knows?
I'll say to Bruning's point, I agree. It has been proven that a wide receiver athleticism is a little bit overrated, but what it does, and hear me out. Let me speak very slowly and listen to what I'm saying. Yes, it is overrated, but what if I say about the combine? The combine itself doesn't make me change players in the rankings outside of some really good performances, great, all-time great, and then all-time bad. But what it does, not being athletic, it changes the way that NFL evaluators view said player, right? So if David Bell got the draft capital and was still unathletic, I'd still be okay with it, right? But I think what happens is he won't get the draft capital because he's unathletic and therefore won't have the opportunity as early to get on the field to show what he has. And that's really the bet that you're making, right? You take David Bell gets drafted in the 4th round or the 5th round, you're betting on an outlier from draft capital standpoint. And it's not just the athleticism, it's his chance to get an opportunity to show what he has on the field. And that's where the problem is, right? So that's really what it is. It matters to the degree that if you're unathletic, teams are more inclined to be like, we'll take the Alec Pierce. You can't tell me that Alec Pierce is a better wide receiver than David Bell. Nobody can sell me on that. But because Alec Pierce has freaky athleticism, it's probably going to lend for him to be drafted a little bit higher, right? It's probably going to get him into day 2, potentially round 2, where I think David Bell is the superior wide receiver. The NFL just looks at it kind of slow, really don't know, blah, blah, blah. We'll take him in the 4th round. And that's where it boils down to. That's where the athleticism and the numbers and the combine, the impact on draft capital is where it matters. And we have to adjust and react. And you can still like him. Yep. And I would love for you to take David Bell real high if we're in the same league together. But if he gets day 3 draft capital, more of a sleeper dart throw than it is for a locked and loaded, at least good bet. And that's all it is. And thank you, Dynasty Barry. Just trying to spit a little bit of truth here, a little bit of facts here. But I think this was a fantastic mock. Dynasty Barry was in the mock. Very, very sharp Dynasty mind. I appreciate all the perspective that he brings to the table. I love interacting with him, and y'all should interact with him too. So go to patreon.com/allgas. Sign up. Best damn Dynasty community on the planet. We appreciate you tapping in. Jay, what are we doing tomorrow? TMZ show? Just rumors.
You want to do a TMZ rumor mill already?
Rumor mill, fake news, bold predictions. I mean, it's the draft, y'all. Like, we're talking news and shit that's going to happen for the draft. Like, that's what it is, man. That's what we're doing. So make sure you tap in tomorrow. Joe is giving some 10-yard splits that were real bad. I appreciate all of y'all being here. Hit thumbs up. Enjoy the content. Stay off Twitter. All kind of smoke screens, man. Bold prediction show. Thank you, Josh. It is a dope community, but it's only dope because y'all are dope. Appreciate you, Mike A. Appreciate all of y'all. Y'all have a fantastic day. We'll be back tomorrow. Draft party on Thursday. We out. Peace.